Welcome to Mr. LK. This is where we explore the hidden psychology of money, life, discipline, success, and freedom. Today, we are going to talk about how written words can quietly reshape your mind, your choices, and eventually, your destiny. No matter the era, written words remain the lowest cost path to changing one's destiny. They are not flashy, they are not loud, but every sentence quietly restructures the way you think. And from there, it begins to restructure your life. What should you do when competition becomes too intense? Read, but do not stop at understanding. You must turn every principle into a specific action in your life or your work. What should you do when you are still poor? Read, but not for comfort. Use knowledge to change the way you create value, not merely the way you spend money. What should you do when your background is not favorable? Read, but not to compare yourself with others. Use knowledge to close the gap that your circumstances once created. What should you do when you feel lost? Read, but not as an escape. Use knowledge to make decisions. Small decisions perhaps, but firm and decisive ones. Books do not give you money directly, but they give you the mindset to create money. Books do not give you status directly, but they give you the method to build status. The problem is not how many books you read. The real question is, after each book, what have you actually changed? If you read but do not act, knowledge is only information. If you act but do not reflect, experience is only luck. That is why you must build the loop. Read to understand the principle. Act to test the principle. Fail to adjust the principle. Repeat until the principle becomes instinct. From each book, you only need to extract one correct idea and apply it completely. That alone can create a greater difference than reading 10 books and doing nothing. The person who changes their destiny is not the one who reads the most. It is the one who transforms knowledge into action the fastest. But there is still a higher level. Not only reading, not only doing, but writing it down yourself. When you write, you are forced to understand. When you express an idea, you are forced to become clear. When you organize your thoughts, you are forced to go deeper. Writing is not for showing off. Writing is the process of condensing your own awareness. Writing turns borrowed knowledge into knowledge that belongs to you. Writing turns scattered experiences into a system that can be repeated. Reading is receiving. Doing is testing. But writing is ownership. The person who only reads will remain dependent on others. The person who knows how to act will gradually become independent. But the person who acts and writes at the same time will begin to create a system of their own. And when you have your own system, you no longer walk only on roads created by others. You begin to open your own path. That is the deepest level of changing destiny. Not merely changing your circumstances, but upgrading yourself to the point where your circumstances are forced to change with you.